Right now, there are more British soldiers deployed in Eastern Europe than in the Falklands, Gibraltar and Cyprus combined. If that sounds insane, it should, because these troops are sitting just 80 miles from the Russian border. So here's the question: why is Britain willing to risk lives on foreign soil over a conflict it isn't directly involved in? In this video, we'll break down the real reason British forces are in Estonia and Poland, what they're doing just miles from Russian territory, and the hidden strategy behind this forward deployment. Plus, one chilling scenario that UK commanders are actively preparing for. Welcome back to the war. Let's rewind the clock to 2014. Crimea is invaded. Russia's hybrid warfare in Ukraine is underway, and NATO panics. This is the moment when Britain makes a critical decision to be the first in line, literally, by placing boots on the ground in Estonia and Poland. This wasn't just symbolic. Britain's committed thousands of troops to NATO's enhanced forward presence, a bold and risky strategy of deterrence. Not defence. Deterrence. The idea, to make it absolutely clear that if Russia crossed the line, it wouldn't just face Estonia or Polish forces, it would face Britain instantly. And here's the twist: Britain's troops aren't there to win a war. They're there to start one that nobody wants to finish. But how far is Britain willing to go for allies it shares no border with? Stick around, because in Chapter 2 we're going to unpack the hidden military infrastructure that Britain's quietly been building for a war most of us hope never happens. And if you're wondering how a tiny NATO base in the Baltics could possibly hold off a Russian onslaught, you're not alone. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Would you support sending more troops into Eastern Europe? Or should Britain focus on defending its own shores? Let us know below. Welcome to Tapa military base, once a quiet, snow-covered garrison, now one of NATO's most heavily fortified outposts. Over 900 British soldiers are stationed here as part of Operation CABRIT, the UK's code name for its Baltic deployment. Alongside Challenger 2 tanks, AS-90 self-propelled artillery and Warrior infantry fighting vehicles, they've transformed the area into a lethal defensive hub. But here's the thing: the British Army has been training not just with Estonians and Poles, but also Americans, Danes and even the French. It's not just about defence, it's about interoperability, fighting as one NATO unit instantly under fire. There are night patrols, integrated live fire drills, and some of the most cutting-edge drone countermeasure exercises happening on NATO soil. Remember when we said the Brits weren't there to win a war? Here's why. Their mission is to be the tripwire force. Any attack on them would trigger Article 5, NATO's mutual defence clause. That's not a deployment, that's a warning sign. While Estonia is a forward tripwire, Poland is the anvil behind the shield. Recently, the UK has sent more troops to Poland. Why? Because Poland is the logistic heart of NATO's eastern plans. Here, British Royal Engineers have helped build bridges and move mobile command units into strategic choke points. The Army Air Corps has deployed Wildcat helicopters, and British air defence systems like Sky Sabre have been used to shield key Polish infrastructure. But the real story: British troops are training for urban warfare in Polish cities, a chilling preparation for worst case scenarios. This isn't just deterrence anymore, it's rehearsing the future. Before we continue, if you're enjoying our content, don't forget to check out our membership program. The next 5 people who join will receive a special gift, so check it out. Now back to the action. Every year, British troops in Estonia and Poland take part in massive NATO exercises like Defender Europe and Spring Storm. But these aren't just drills, they're stress tests. One of the biggest lessons: Britain's military is shifting from peacekeeping to peer-on-peer warfare training. That means navigating electronic warfare environments, resisting GPS jamming and drone swarms, practicing shoot and scoot artillery tactics, and conducting joint tank assaults in forested and urban terrain. Here's something most people miss. The forests of Estonia look shockingly similar to those in Western Russia. Britain's not just defending terrain, it's training on potential battlefields. But what's the endgame? Is Britain preparing for a long-term presence or something bigger? Deploying to Eastern Europe isn't cheap. It costs Britain hundreds of millions a year, stretches logistics, and keeps thousands of troops away from home. But here's what no one says out loud. If Britain ever pulled out, the entire NATO deterrence model could unravel. That's why every UK Defence Secretary since 2016 has doubled down on Baltic and Polish deployments, even when budgets were being slashed at home. In fact, in 2023, the UK confirmed that these forces will remain in the region for as long as necessary. That's military speak for we're not leaving. Remember that question: how far is Britain willing to go for allies it doesn't border? The answer? All the way to Russia's doorstep. But here's something that might shock you. British troops in Estonia have run joint drills simulating a nuclear battlefield. With NATO's rapid response doctrine, including scenarios involving tactical nukes, British forces have been trained to fight and survive in contaminated environments. That's how serious this deployment is being taken. Let's be real. The British Army in Eastern Europe is not enough to stop a full Russian invasion. But that's not the point. The point is to raise the stakes high enough that any attack becomes too dangerous to even consider. A single shot at a British soldier in Tapa could mean World War III. This is Britain's real weapon in Estonia and Poland. Not numbers, not firepower, but political consequence. This is the 21st century's deterrence. You don't stop a war by building a wall. You stop it by making sure no one wants to break through it. So here is the big takeaway. The British Army in Estonia and Poland is more than a show of force. It's a promise, a warning, and a gamble all at once. It's about NATO's solidarity, rapid response, and forward deterrence. But it's also a calculated risk that hopes the next war never starts in the first place. Now that you know what's really happening on NATO's front lines, there's another critical piece of this puzzle you should see next. What happens when a single missile can destroy a tank from 2 miles away? Watch our deep dive on the FGM-148 Javelin, the weapon that changed modern infantry warfare and could decide the future of the battlefield in Eastern Europe. Hi soldiers, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave your thoughts in the comments, and check out the membership and merch programs. And don't forget to check back in again soon. That's an order.